So here's the first chart. All of these charts are useful in some contexts and not in others. This one's interesting because it's very common and easily found on the web. There's a website here for you to look it up if you want. It talks about the different kinds of leadership, creativity, direction setting, delegation, coordination, collaboration, different things that are required at different stages. The thing I find a little difficult with this one is that it seems to correlate these different stages with one thing, and that is age. And that's not really right, because we know organizations that are 20 years old, they're essentially still startups. And we know some that are a lot younger that are much more advanced. So I find it a little bit, not that generally useful when you think about it that way. This chart is by a famous guy in the field named Aziz, who breaks down each of the stages of growth in a constructive and productive way: infancy, adolescence, prime, and so on. The only thing that I find a little troubling is it kind of assumes that everything has a life cycle and ends, whereas in fact you can find ways to break through, as we've been talking about, to get to the next level no matter where you are. And it doesn't have to end. This is a venture capital, private equity investor kind of a view of the world. You have the early stages, family, friends, and fools, and which by definition are probably all fools, throw in some money. Then venture capital professional has been involved. It gets to the point where it's making money and now it's profitable. You can bring in some of the middle market investors. You're starting to get some equity investors, and then if you get through that, you get into the LBOs and IPOs, and so you can get a sort of a financing view of the world. Where we focus, and we're going to cover this in more detail throughout today's session, is more of an operational maturation of an organization as it grows. So we go through 5 different stages, which we'll talk through in a moment. Let's look at the 5 stages of growth from an operational perspective. Well, the first phase I call concept, and that's when you usually have a superstar leader who is committed to making everything get off on the right foot. But they really need 3 things to get off the ground. You need an idea, you need some financing, and you need some people. And what's interesting is, which of those 3 do you think is most important? Anybody want to throw out a chat on that? Team. James says team. Everybody, Bob says team. I'll tell you what I've found. Concept Beth says. I think the answer depends on what you have. So if you're an investor, you have money or other people's money, and you're looking for the idea and the team. If you're a group of folks that have worked together successfully and you're looking for something to do, you're looking for the idea, or you have something to do and you need the money. And then there's people. So basically, it's all a function of what you have. So it's a trick question in that there is no one right answer. The answer depends on what you have. You need all 3. And getting all 3 to come together is incredibly difficult. And even if you've got all 3, then you need timing. You have to get the idea at the right time. It could be too early or too late. And there's one thing you need more than anything else, I'll tell you right now. If anybody who asks has been successful, what's the number one thing that it took to be successful? If they don't say luck, I would stop listening. But the issue here is, once you have these 3 things, is to get whatever that idea of yours is off the ground and up and running in some form or fashion. So you get your first client, maybe an employee or 2. You get some revenue coming in from doing what you're doing. Someone's willing to pay you. You get some funding, and your issue is proof that the concept has legs, that it actually will work. Your issue is also survival. How do I get the next dollar to cover the cost of the next employee to do the thing I just committed to do? And the problem that drives is focus, because all of a sudden you start scrambling and saying, I'll take anything just to get a dollar in the door so I can do the next thing I want to do. And so that focus ends up distracting you from working on getting the concept proofed. So it's a very difficult time. But you're looking for the pattern in all of that you can turn into a real business, and put together a plan, a leadership team, that each of the members of the team know what they're supposed to do, highly motivated to do it, and deploy their great strengths all towards accomplishing the same ultimate objective. and that they will get rewarded for so doing. And the concern here is to execute against the plan for growth and performance in a consistent, predictable, steady, reliable, ever-increasing way. A lot of the people that we work with in Intelevent are basically moving from startup to credible. So they're putting a plan together, they're putting the team together, they're putting the roles together, and they're learning to perform consistently against that plan for growth and performance. And once you get through that, you get into the sustainable phase, where you're now a going concern and you're looking at perhaps a sale or a financing to bring in some money, or an IPO to bring in some opportunity for the people who helped it happen to realize some of the value they've helped create. So that's the payoff, and the issue here tends to be managing growth. And then when you get to the mature stage, you're worried about routine, and well, it's sort of like same old, and what you're trying to do is figure out, what do we need to do now to grow? And the concern is we get too fat, dumb, and happy, and we start to become complacent and stop innovating. And you can see, for example, Microsoft went through that phase when everybody at the top of the company owned their own island, that kind of kept their eye off the ball and got a little bit vulnerable to some other upstarts. It's a different kind of mindset. You think of the different stages. You have the solopreneur. The initial concept player is usually characterized by a strong-minded individual. In the startup phase, everybody's running to help that individual. We call it jungle soccer. Everybody runs to the ball. In the credible stage, we're becoming comfortable with position play. You do this, I'll do that. In the sustainable, now we're getting to higher order plays, where groups of people in the organization are working together to do things in a specific way. And then we develop a whole system of winning. I think of a farm team and a growth engine, and a way of making sure we constantly are refreshing and refining what we're doing and winning in every way.